For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliott Apollo's, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.
All right, and welcome into our first post-game show of the year. Gearing it up for the regular season, the last night of the postseason or preseason. As you can tell, I'm still in preseason mode here, so we'll get the wording right and everything like that. But the Bills ended up winning 23-19 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Shane Buechele had a great game. It just kind of balled out and showed what he can actually do. So yes, it's against second and third stringers, but it definitely is. It was a fun watch. We'll leave it at that. And Pat, how are you feeling after this win tonight?
Good. I'm feeling good, especially after this win. I know it's in the preseason, but it's still nice. It's nice to see the Bills ended off with a win, and Shane Buechele with the best preseason performance by a Bills quarterback this year. To me personally, I know Mitch Trubisky probably locked up the quarterback 2 role, but I think Shane Buechele definitely has a, what's the saying? Has a bone in the fight. Has a dog in the fight.
Has a dog in the fight. Yep.
Yeah, dog in the fight. He balled out. I mean, I know we'll talk about it here in a few minutes. He went 20 for 25 and all around just played well. And this was a whole different team from what we saw last week. This team brought the energy. They won on all 3 phases. Special teams got off to a rocky start, but it felt like in the second half, late third quarter, early fourth quarter, we finally saw the special teams unit finally get on the right track. And Tyler Bass, I know he missed that 26-yarder, but he did make his longest field goal of the night, which was 39. He had 2 37s. And then I believe a 25 as well. So overall, just a good performance to send these boys off to the regular season.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And, it was nice to see. Can probably say that Terrell Shavers definitely made the team. I have a feeling they're gonna end up keeping 6. But let's talk about the game a little bit here. That one-handed catch was just something stellar. Good ball by Buechele to put it only where he could get it, and for him to toe tap and also make the one-handed catch at the same time was just it's something that we want to see from the receivers here on those type of balls from Josh Allen when he throws them. So it is a big thing. Like I said, I do think that they keep 6. I think Elijah Moore came to life a little bit, and you saw a little bit of what he can do. And I really, really expect them. And Deion Walker, he's another one. Oh my, like I was so happy when they drafted him in the 4th round earlier this year, because Whittle and I, both had a very good grade on him until the back injury last year, and then we're both very, very happy that we ended up taking him. And we both compared him to Chris Jones. So I mean he's starting to look like, and I know it's second and third stringers that he's playing against, but these guys are trying to do everything that they can to fight to make a roster. So I would say that they're probably more inept to play well tonight rather than trying to look like you're getting stomped on by somebody that's already probably going to make a team in Deion Walker. He's pretty much a lock. I think that they stole him in the 4th round, and he's looking every bit of dominant that he was in his 2023 season in college, before the back injury. So what do you feel about that?
Deion Walker, you can definitely, obviously, yes, he's going up against second and third stringers, but at the same time, that's kind of what you're looking for out of these rookies that you drafted and these undrafted guys. You want to see how they go up against other teams' 2s and 3s. And obviously, if they stand out like Deion Walker has, that definitely shows you that, he can put up a fight with the starters. Because it's not like, I know some people are saying, yeah, people will be bagging groceries next week. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers had their second stringers out there, second and third stringers out there. And Deion Walker is out there blowing up plays in the backfield, has the sack, and just the whole offseason, the whole preseason, he has gotten better and better each week. And I'm kind of glad that they took him out of the game. Let's say that for the regular season, you don't got to prove no more. You're part of the team now. Definitely, he's standing out compared to his peers.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you brought that up.
Yep.
I do not ever want to see anybody ever say that again.
Yep.
This is the highest level of football. This is something that all these guys have known only a lot of them have only known their entire life, and this is what they've been working towards. So do not ever disrespect any of these players that work their asses off the way that they do. So that's first and foremost. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care if you're joking. I don't care if you're that's something that's disrespectful, and do not do it. Do not do it.
Right.
Now, putting all that aside, I really, I'm just very, very happy to see that a lot of these guys stepped up and took almost that Bears game as like a slap in the face. Speaking of
personally, yeah.
They took it like as a slap in the face, and I truly, truly, truly think that they showed out tonight. Players like Jimmy Charlo, Dane Jackson, who played almost all of the game. Honestly, I mean, we'll talk about it in a little bit because, yes, we're going to have shows next week, and, leading up to, Sunday the 7th, when they play the Ravens at home on Sunday Night Football. We're going to have shows all the way leading up to that, but we'll be touching on here at the end of this at some point about the 53-man roster that we put out this week that, as a Duke collective. And let me tell you, trying to add that stuff up and trying to figure all that stuff out, it was not fun. I'm really good at math, but that was a different type of math. So,
hey,
but
I had the easy job. I just had to have people tag, just say,
exactly.
Hey, send this to our email. You're the one who had to tally it all up. I'm sure that was definitely hard.
But and that's the thing. It's also very hard to get from a singular point of view. Like, it's a collective effort, and some players get left off, some players go on that are not. So it's just really. I think that what's going to happen, honestly, with the way that this game went, I think Sean McDermott seems like he was playing Dane Jackson. Now, I could be wrong, but it's just a guess. He was playing Dane Jackson maybe to get him ready for potentially week 1, because I think that we don't know what's going on with Trey. So he could potentially he could potentially go on IR himself for the first 4 weeks. Max Harrison could potentially go on IR for the first 4 weeks. So that's 2 corner spots that need to be taken care of. With our 53 projection, we have 6. 2 of those were Max Harrison and Trey White. So I feel as though if Dane Jackson, potentially was getting ready for week 1, and I truly think that is probably what's going to end up happening. But we'll see. But he played an outstanding game himself. The couple of pass breakups, the tackles, him coming down and making tackles right at the line of scrimmage. So it was really, really good to see that. And that's something we've always known is Dane Jackson's a solid player. He's not
right
elite. He's not like great. He's not, but he's not trash either. So he's a solid player. He's in the places where he's supposed to be. But is he going to make that splash play? No, probably not. Is he going to, is he going to make a tackle when he needed? Sure. Yes, absolutely. Probably he'll be right there to make the tackle. But I think that McDermott trusts Dane Jackson the way that he trusts somebody like a DeMar Hamlin, who I think that may end up on the practice squad. So who knows? What are your feelings about anything else you saw in the game?
Well, yeah, I do want to play advocate with you a little bit with Dane Jackson. He did play the full game. Maybe that is to ramp him up with the absence of Tre'Davious White or Maxwell Harrison. But if Tre'Davious White is out for an extended amount of time, wouldn't you not want to risk an injury to Dane Jackson? Wouldn't you not want him to play the whole game?
I mean, it kind of feels to me like it was more of because I don't know. That's a great thing. But also too, you need to get somebody like him ready, especially if you're gonna, especially if you're gonna go into week 1 without your top 2 of 3 corners. Your CB2 and potentially later on in the year CB2, and Max Harrison, your first round rookie. So I fully expect, something at least between one of those two guys to go on IR. We know that earlier in the night, they had talked to Brandon Beane on the broadcast, and he said that he's going to be working with the doctors this week and getting with the doctors to find out, when Max will be ready to go. And if that's, he's going to be out the first 4 weeks of the year, they're going to throw him on IR. But if he can be ready by week 2 or 3, it's going to come down to, are they, or is that practice by week 3, or is that he's going to be game ready by week 3? So there's a lot of things that they're going to have to work on. I am of the mind. I heard Steve Tasker talking about it. So I'm not going to take credit for this, but I am of the mind that I think that it does take a lot of pressure off of him if they were to put him on IR. Hey, kid, get healthy. We got this. Come back, and be ready. So what else did you see from the game tonight that kind of stuck out to you?
Tyrell Shavers obviously was another one who stood out, just like Deion Walker. You see, he's a guy who was on the brink of making the 53-man roster last year, and he came out today proving a point that, if you guys are not going to put me on your 53-man roster, I'll be on a 53-man roster somewhere else. With that one-handed snag, and throughout all night on special teams, you see him running down. He was always near the tackle. He's a guy who really stood out to me, and what he did tonight, you have to put him on your roster now. You have to.
He basically saved a touchdown on the one kick return.
He did,
because whoever was the up man there, he had to come back around and tackle the guy at like the 45-50 yard line. So and there was almost nobody behind him but the kicker. So
yeah, and I know he only had 2 catches on the night for 24 yards, and obviously he had that nice catch. And then another guy that I really liked, I know he didn't play as much, but he did have a few drops. He had 3 targets. It's Elijah Moore with 8 yards, averaged 2.7 yards a catch. I felt like you have seen him now with average quarterbacks and below average quarterbacks his whole NFL career, going back to his days with the Jets with Zach Wilson, and obviously with the Browns last year with Jameis Winston, DTR. And you've seen him now with the Bills backups with Mike White, obviously Mitch Trubisky, now Shane Buechele. But everything we hear from Elijah Moore coming out of camp, though, coming out of practice, is that he's very good with Josh Allen. I wish we would have been able to see him with Josh Allen, but we did get to see him, make a few people miss on that one screen.
Yeah, that was nice, and then to hit the spin move there and almost pick up that first down.
Yep.
I wish that Shane Buechele would have put that ball a little bit higher on the one where he was just short of the first down, so that he basically threw it into the ground, unfortunately. So it would have been nice to see him get the ball up a little bit so he could have made a better play on it. But he did come back to the ball. He did, attempt to make the catch. Not saying that's, he's wide receiver 5, 6 for a reason, right, in the end. So it just comes down to it is who is going to be. Does that mean Curtis Samuel potentially gets traded? We have a week or so to find out. Well, not a week or so, but you have till Tuesday. Tuesday's cut down day. Are they going to be able to trade Curtis Samuel by then, or is it going to be a situation where they keep 6 on the roster, trade Curtis Samuel, and then put somebody back on the roster or anything like that? Or do they just keep 6 in general? I think that they keep 6, and I think that they kind of game plan and go with Curtis Samuel against certain teams, Elijah Moore against certain teams, or whoever's the hot hand, they kind of stick with whatever way that works out for them. I mean, I thought TJ Sanders played very well. I like to see Michael Hoyt in there. He played very, very well himself. We know why him and Ogunjobi were in there, and it was because they're suspended for the first 6 weeks.
Yeah.
They can come back in week 4, and be around the team and be around the facilities and go to meetings and things like that. They just can't practice or play until week 6. So that kept them fresh and kept them sharp tonight. So I'm very happy we got to see them on the field as well. Dorian Strong made a couple of plays himself. He did have a couple of mishaps himself, but I think he did enough to make the team, especially with Max Harrison potentially going on IR. What other bubble guys can you think of that potentially either played themselves onto the roster tonight or
when I look at it, obviously our tight end room is pretty set already with Jackson Halls, Dalton Kincaid, and Dawson Knox. But let me tell you something, man. I know there's a lot of Bills fans that are high on Zach Davidson. What about moving Zach Davidson to punter? That dude has a 62-yard punt. Another nice punt. I mean, he was a punter for Southern Missouri. He looked pretty good to me.
Yeah, I know you're just joking, being facetious, but in all reality, I think Zach Davidson is probably a practice squad guy, but it definitely, who knows, like he could be something, later on, where they bring him up one or they bring him up, and plays a role, or knock on wood, nobody gets hurt in that tight end room, but Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid now have a propensity of injury. So, and missing games during the year. So it would be nice to have somebody like a Zach Davidson on the roster. And it also works out too that he can punt the ball in case Brad Robbins has anything happen to him again. And, he goes under the weather, or I was texting back and forth with an actual like real life main thing, colleague with mine, and he's like, maybe you could run a fake with Zach Davidson. I go, yeah, that wouldn't be obvious. You're using Brad Robbins all night, and then all of a sudden you bring Zach Davidson on. Yeah, they're not going to run, but we were just joking around about it. But in all honesty, I mean, he's done enough to make the practice squad. Hopefully he can get to the practice squad and he's not picked up by anybody else, but we'll definitely see what goes on there.
Speaking of guys that are on the bubble, Frank Gore Jr., do you really think that we can stash him on the practice squad? I think a team might pick him up. Another solid night for him. I mean, he had, what is it right here, 10 rushes for 32 yards. And obviously, he had the rushing touchdown. Then he had 2 receptions for 29 yards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but who are you going to knock off the team? Nobody. To put him on there? And because you have 3 running backs already, and you have 3 running backs already, and you have Reggie Gilliam. So are you just not going to go with a fullback and keep Frank Gore? You're going to add a 4th running back into that room and take away from another position? I mean, maybe you go with 9 offensive linemen and potentially leave Frank Gore on the team, but there's so many things that
get playing time.
Right, and that's really what it comes down to. Is he's probably going to be one of those guys that's inactive every week, and unfortunately, the Bills are a very, very good team. It's very, very hard to crack that top 53. It's even harder to crack the starting. What is it, 46, 47, 48, whatever it is right now. I know, but they have the emergency quarterback and the emergency offensive lineman or whatever. So whatever it is on game day, but it's so hard to crack that at this point on the Bills because this is a Super Bowl contending team.
It is.
It between them, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Eagles, who else over there? I can't even. The Lions. I wouldn't think of
the
it.
Cowboys out of the NFC. Yeah.
I mean, no, not even close. Not even close. But no, but when you bring it down to it, this is a Super Bowl contending team, right? And they have to find players that are going to continue helping the defense and continue helping Josh, getting him more and more weapons on that offense. And I think that with the if they do end up keeping 6, I think that it's going to be very pertinent that they get the right guys on the field at the same time, and let Josh go through the let him do the everybody eats and get the ball out of his hands and into playmakers' hands. Not that he's not a playmaker himself, but they need to get the ball out of his hands and into guys' hands that are going to take the ball 70 yards down the field, take the ball like Keon Coleman did last year, where he had that one against, I think it was the Titans, where he almost scored the touchdown.
Yes.
So I mean, we need to see more plays like that, more chunk plays, and that's hopefully that they can get those intermediate plays in there now with a healthy Dalton Kincaid, with a healthy Dawson Knox, with Keon Coleman in his second year, with Josh Palmer being brought in to be that intermediate guy. Khalil Shakir still being Khalil Shakir. James Cook now happy with being in Buffalo the next 4 years or 5 years or whatever it is. The offensive line, top 3 offensive line in the league, sticking together again, at least for one more year, the way it was constructed. So it just, they need to keep Josh upright. They need to continue going forward, and they need to continue striving for that ring, and keep grabbing at and no pun intended, keep grabbing at the brass ring, so they can accomplish what they want to in the end goal and grab that nice piece of Tiffany's hardware.
No, you're right, and now we extended most of our core guys with Greg Rousseau, Khalil Shakir, Terrell Bernard, Christian Benford. We're starting to enter the new Buffalo Bills. This is no longer the Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, and first, second year Josh Allen with Stephon Diggs. We are now entering a new version of the Bills, and I think this version is actually better, and I think we have better depth. So I definitely agree with you there, and definitely a better offensive line. Yeah,
I mean, 1 year more. Osiris has another year under his belt. David Edwards has another year under his belt in this offense. Connor McGovern has a year under his belt at center. And Spencer Brown and Deion Dawkins are your bookend tackles that are, just going to be there. And then you're going to have the best 6 offensive linemen in the NFL in Alec Anderson. And we'll see what goes on behind them. So, the one thing I do want to touch on also is, did you notice that somebody was getting better and better with each and every single rep as he, it was a certain number 24 that was out there in the back end of the defense that,
Yes, I'm glad you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I think that Cole Bishop was outstanding tonight. He just he was in the right place. You started to see flashes of what you were seeing last year in that Kansas City game, and arguably being one of the best defensive players on the field that night. So it's nice to see him getting reps, and I think that Sean McDermott was doing the right thing by Cole Bishop, even though it's preseason. We don't want to have anybody get hurt, but I think he was doing the right thing by Cole Bishop and getting him those extra reps so that he can get those at game speed. And then once McDermott felt comfortable, he pulled him. He got him right off the field. So made some plays, was in the right place, made some tackles, and got him off the field.
Yeah, it's definitely a night and day difference between what we saw last week with Cole Bishop and this week. Now, I agree with Sean McDermott. You put him out there, you let him get those in-game reps because those are valuable. And a lot of people are saying, oh, yeah, is Cole Bishop actually this good? Why are the Bills forcing for him to be the starter? Let's go back to last year where he had a rough start in his first NFL start against Houston. But then ever since, then he came in against Baltimore in the division round. He played the whole AFC Championship game, which I felt like he was one of our better defensive players in that game, if not our best defensive player in that game. And obviously, Brandon Beane liked him enough to try to trade up for him, but couldn't find a trade partner. So there's definitely, obviously the front office likes him, the coaching staff likes him. Obviously they see something in him. And I trust Sean McDermott when he sees something in a DB, especially in the back seven, that he's going to make the right decision. Because Sean McDermott has hardly ever, knock on wood, made the wrong decision with the back seven.
I mean, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde,
Jordan Poyer came off the streets, basically.
Taron Johnson,
Yes.
Christian Benford, Trey White. Yes, Trey White was a first-round pick, but he needed that additional coaching up to be where he was, and to be the goalie academy Trey White that he was. So,
yeah.
But with all that being said, you have multiple cases of them finding defensive backs in the draft or in free agency or in undrafted free agents that they bring in, and Sean McDermott has basically transformed these guys into higher at mid high end mid talent to high end elite talent.
Yep. And it was definitely a sigh of relief seeing how much better Cole Bishop was this week than last week. Obviously, I didn't get to see the TV version of Cole Bishop last week, but from clips I've seen, he was bad last week. But it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to evaluate them when you have your third and fourth stringers and they're getting beat, especially when you're getting no pressure. Just makes everything in your back seven harder. Now today, our front four was doing better, and Cole Bishop looked better. Obviously, it's kind of everything works together. But it was nice to see Cole Bishop making plays like that in the first quarter, and I believe it was the first drive where he came down and he was in on the tackle. So it's definitely nice to see, and then finally McDermott felt comfortable enough to take him out and say basically, he's ready for week one.
Yeah, and I can't remember who it was over at Cover One, but they posted something on Twitter saying that, I have an idea to fix the safety room, and it was literally talking about the defensive line. And, because it's true, the less and less time the quarterback has to throw the ball, the easier the defensive back's jobs become. If the defensive line can't get there or linebackers can't get there, then it's going to be a long day for the defensive backs because you can't, they can only cover for like 2.5, 3 seconds, maybe 4 seconds at the most. But when you get up at that 3.5, 4, 5 seconds, they're not going to be able to stick with the guys that long. So with their guys that long. So it's definitely, very, very important that the defensive line gets home.
Right. And, it's, because a lot of people don't think about this, but it's easy for the offense to move up and down the field, with those 3 or 4 seconds when a DB is trying to hold, because they know what they're running. When you're in the secondary, you're playing reactionary football. So you don't know what the opponent's doing. You don't know if he's running a curl, a hook, whatever the case may be. So you need your defensive line to do good and get pressure within the first 2 seconds, 3 seconds, like you stated. I see Sunak got a comment here.
I love his new Twitter, the Twitter
love it.
Profile picture with the beanie there, the ski cap, the ski mask. So yeah, I mean, I agree with him 100%. I'll trust guys like Asil or Brandon Beane or their pro personnel department or anything like that. That found Benford and Bernard and everything like that. So I trust. Yeah, I mean, some people know what they're talking about, but
right.
It's very few and far between, and that's why, unfortunately, that there's some people out there that need to go bag groceries themselves.
No,
but go ahead.
I do want to bring up a comment here from Julie. She said, KJ is so likable. I agree. Obviously, everything that we're seeing from Hard Knocks is the cherry on top. But I do wonder if we do try to stash KJ
Mm-hmm.
Hamler on the practice squad, if somebody's going to try picking him up because he almost had a touchdown tonight, fell was 1.5 yards short. Another night where he had 3 catches, 33 yards. Obviously, his highlight of the preseason has been that 30-plus yard touchdown by Mitch Trubisky back in the first preseason game. He had a few catches in back last week, and now another good night again. And he's obviously competing for a roster spot. I don't think he'll be in the receiver room. I think it's with the special teams as a kick returner. Now, do you think Brandon Conrington won that job, or KJ Hamler, or is it Laviska Shenault? It's tough.
So here's what I'm thinking is I think that you're probably going to see a Laviska Shenault be on the practice squad. I think Brandon Codrington, after what he did last year, and then also what he's done so far in the preseason this year, I think that I think he's won that job. Honestly, I think that he's won that job. KJ Hamler, yes, as likable as he is, I think that he's going to be stashed on the practice squad again. I don't see just like Gabe Davis. I don't see a spot on the active roster at this point for either one of them. Yes, if somebody gets hurt, if again, knock on wood, but if a Josh Palmer or a Curtis Samuel or even Tyrell Shavers, if any of those guys get hurt, or if Khalil Shakir is actually out longer than week 1, they might need somebody to come up from the practice squad to play in week 1 and be elevated. We don't know. We can't predict what's going to happen in 2 weeks into the future, but that's why you build the practice squad to be able to, have guys on there that you can elevate. That's what that's for. So
right
at this point right now, I really do. I think KJ Hamler, if you did not have a Terrell Shavers, if you did not have an Elijah Moore, if you did not have a Curtis Samuel, I think KJ Hamler is on this team. But I just think it's too big of a hill for him to climb. Same thing with Laviska Shenault. I really that's where my mind is. Now we know there's a couple surprises every year that Brandon Beane, this person, and then like Isaiah Hodgins a couple of years ago, just cuts him and he goes to the Giants, and for the first couple of weeks he was good, and then we haven't heard anything from him since. So
he's supposed to be the next
again
here.
Again, I'm going to refer back to Student's comment from before. We're going to trust the pro personnel department. We're going to trust Brandon Beane. We're going to trust those guys that they know what they're doing, because they're the ones getting paid to build this team. We're just the ones sitting on the sidelines, being armchair GMs and enjoying doing it. So
right,
because it's fun. It's fun. It's fun to sit here and talk about it, and question every move, but they're the ones on the field and they're the ones doing everything. So I put my trust in them right now at this point, until it's proven otherwise. So what else from tonight's game, before we get to the 53-man roster, what else from tonight's game kind of stuck out to you? What, good, bad, indifferent?
Tyler Bass stuck out to me. Obviously, he's kind of continuing where he left off last year in the playoffs, especially in the second half of the year, where he was consistent. Obviously, he missed that 26-yard field goal. Whatever, it's going to happen. Get it out of your system now, because we're going to need you come week 1. So that was definitely a good. Then another guy that I kind of want to talk about here that won't make the roster, maybe makes the practice squad, is Elijah Young. 16 carries, 53 yards, average 3.3 yards a carry. That's average, but 3 catches for 40 yards as well. It just shows you where some of these guys that maybe that could have made our roster back in 2020 and 2021 can no longer make our roster and can maybe make our practice squad. Just how much better we've gotten as a team, and just overall, the best thing I can say, my overall thoughts on the night is how much better our depth is this year compared to even last year or the prior years before that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other player that I want to talk about tonight too that stuck out to me that that really after just being signed, Zy Alexander, he forced that fumble. He came in, forced that fumble. So I hope that there's a spot on the practice squad for him, honestly, because he could be an asset in a year or two. Because maybe potentially if somebody goes down or anything like that, they can bring him up to be something at 6'1", 185 pounds. He looked really good tonight in his very limited free work with the team, because he just got signed. What was that, Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesday. Yep.
So I enjoyed seeing that. But I don't see any, moving on. Bills.
What Charlo? Charlo looked good too.
I know, but he's you got to remember,
practice squad guy, right?
Yeah, he's a practice squad guy. You got your probably 5 linebackers set.
You do.
With Bernard, Milano, Andreessen, Dorian Williams, and probably Shaq Thompson are probably your 5 linebackers that you're going to have. Could they go with one less offensive lineman and go there and not add could they get rid of like DeMar Hamlin and put him on the practice squad and keep Cam Lewis? I mean, it's just there's a lot of things that they can do. But
they should have
real quick, the Bills did win tonight, 23-19. And we're going to take this second to just run the sponsors real quick, and then we'll be right back to talk about the 53-man roster and what we see.
For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliott Apollo's, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.
All right, Pat, and let's kind of get right into it. So we put this out earlier this week. I think Thursday night we put it out.
Yes.
Our 53-man roster projection here for the Bills. We did get, I don't want to say hate for it, but most people agreed with most of it. Besides maybe Chase Hunt coming off and Cam Lewis going on, or a couple other combinations of some things. But for the most part, Josh Allen, Mitchell Trubisky are probably your locks at quarterback. James Cook, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson are probably, and Reggie Gilliam are probably your 4 that are come from the running back room. Receivers, like we talked about throughout tonight, Shakir, Coleman, Palmer, Samuel, Elijah Moore, and Shavers, in no particular order. That wasn't an order or anything like that, but those are probably the 6. If you keep 6, and then your 3 tight ends would be Knox, Kincaid, Hawes, with Davidson probably going on the practice squad. And then we had 10 offensive linemen: Dawkins, Edwards, McGovern, Torrance, Brown, Alec Anderson, Tylen Grable, Chase Lunt, Ryan Vandermark, and SVPG. Real quick before we go through that, I could honestly see SVGP, or however you say his name.
Yep.
I could definitely see him going on like a short-term IR or the PUP.
Right.
But again, they have to put him on, if I'm not mistaken, it's the PUP. So he would have to make the team first and then go on the PUP. Otherwise, if he goes on the PUP now, he's out for the entire year. I'd have to double check on that, but I'm 99% sure that's how it goes. So I could see them putting him on IR and being out for at least the first 4 games. That gives them another spot to kind of add somebody at least for the first 4 games, like a Cam Lewis, and keeping a reserve offensive lineman like a Chase Lunt on the team, or anything like that. So that's definitely one spot that could be there. Do you disagree or agree with that whole offensive line set up in itself?
But yeah, I do want to say that student body right did say, that Travis Clayton does count as an international exemption, so we do have that as well. But yeah, I was a part of making that. I agree with it. Maybe, yeah, I think Cedric Van Granger starts off on the IR, but like you said, he does have to make the team. But I agree with him with all that.
Yeah. So, and then if we move on to the special teams real quick before we go to defense, I don't think there's anything out of the ordinary there. Tyler Bass, Brad Robbins, and Reed Ferguson. Obviously, Reed may not make the team, make the team up front. He'll probably go sit in the parking lot or whatever, however that joke works. But, who knows if he's that guy this year, but he's going to be there. He's going to be their long snapper. I think that you saw the three captains tonight. I think it's going to end up being Josh, Terrell Bernard, and Reed Ferguson. I think those are your three captains, and then they're going to have that leadership council that they had, like something similar to last year. So moving on to the defense here. So we have Joey Bosa, Greg Rousseau, AJ Epinesa, Landon Jackson, Javon Solomon, Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, TJ Sanders, Deion Walker, and Dwayne Carter. Linebackers being Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano, Joe Andreessen, Dorian Williams, and Shaq Thompson. And then your cornerbacks, and this is where it kind of gets a little iffy because of Trey White's injury and because of Max Harrison's injury as well. So we don't know what's going to happen with them yet. So that could be an extra two roster spots or minimum one roster spot where you have to slide a Dane Jackson in or somebody else that potentially made the team over top of Dane Jackson. But I truly think that they trust Dane Jackson, and I think he's going to be on this team. I think that if Trey White misses any significant time, I think he's your CB2 in week 1. That's just the way that I view it. I know we put this all together before Trey White got hurt. And then the votes were tallied and everything like that, so we didn't change anything. But this is pretty much what we feel. Something very similar to this. And then the safety room. The only change I could see them, not keeping DeMar Hamlin for somebody with more versatility in a Cam Lewis. But we have Taylor Rapp, Cole Bishop, Jordan Hancock, and DeMar Hamlin on there right now. But again, I personally am of the mind that Cam Lewis makes the team over DeMar Hamlin because of the versatility. He can drop down to slot corner if need be. If Taron Johnson were to go out, because we always see Taron Johnson get something during every single game, whether it's just a quick stinger and then he's right back like 3 plays later, just because of the way that he tackles and how hard he tackles. And where he puts his neck, where he puts his head, and I want to touch on this here real quickly. Real quick.
Bills won. That's why.
Yeah. Alec Anderson's music. I don't think there's any way that there's any issue. I think that I do think Vandermark makes the team as well. I don't see any issues anywhere else. And as far as the 53-man roster goes, I think that there's only a couple of spots, like we talked about. It's very, very hard to make this roster. We wouldn't be talking about somebody like a Tyrell Shavers having to play in the last game of the preseason and making plays and making a superior one-handed catch or a superb one-handed catch and toe tapping at the same time to
have a chance at making the right.
It's tough enough doing the toe tap. He also made the one-handed catch and toe tap at the same time. So, that's a spot that you really have to earn the playing time with Josh Allen. running back room. We talked about it. Frank Gore last year, he was fighting for the roster. This year, again, he should, if you don't have Ty Johnson, who's one of the best third down running backs, if not the best third down running back in the NFL. And then you also have Ray Davis, who looks like he potentially could have a breakout this year. You're probably talking about Frank Gore making this team if maybe one of those guys. So hopefully they can get him onto the practice squad. What are your thoughts on the 53?
Looking at the 53-man roster, it really blows my mind. I'm gonna go back to a word I've said, a lot tonight. That's depth. If you look at this defense, especially on the defensive side, Brandon Beane and the front office saw that what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did in 2020 in the Super Bowl and what the Eagles did last year, they put pressure on the Chiefs. They got pressure with 4. And that's something that we have not been able to do, in the playoffs against Kansas City. We can do it in the regular season, but not in the playoffs. And then obviously, Brandon Beane said that, Maxwell Harrison is a matchup piece. We all know who he's a matchup piece to, because we do just fine against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So it can't be them. And who else do we play like a division opponent twice a year? And that's Kansas City. So it's an Xavier-worthy matchup piece. That's what Maxwell Harrison is. Now, I do have a question, though, about our 53. When you're looking at it, that's not including a Michael Hoyt and a Larry Ogunjobi. How do you fit them on this roster? That's just how hard it is to make this roster, as we both been saying all night.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, they may. I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't. Maybe it's one of the offensive linemen that you keep on the team kind of goes by the wayside. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, it really is. Maybe they drop down to 8 offensive linemen and keeps them on the practice squad that they can elevate. But I mean, it's tough to do that because you want to have 9 or 10 for your versatility, and that ability. So I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, let's take a look at this again.
Yeah, let's pull it up again.
Where are you gonna knock people out of there? Maybe it is a trade from Curtis Samuel later in the season if he hasn't done anything.
Is it a linebacker? Is it a Shaq Thompson or a Joe Andreessen?
I mean, maybe you keep 4. I mean, but again, that's the nice thing about this right now, they are suspended. We don't have to worry about it right this second. So they have an extra 6 weeks of trying to figure out who is actually worth keeping on this team compared to a Michael Hoyt or Larry Ogunjobi.
Well, I did see that Dwayne Carter was playing into the late third quarter and fourth quarter. Is it a Dwayne Carter? Which I feel like he made flashes last year before, the whole wrist injury.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I mean, but that leaves them with 4 defensive tackles then. That Deion Walker, TJ Sanders, Daquan Jones, and Ed Oliver. So
is it a Daquan Jones somehow? They tried trading him if Deion Walker looks like that true one tech. It's tough. I'm glad I don't have to make this decision.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I don't want to be the one to make this decision. I'll talk about it and say Brandon Beane's wrong for doing it, but I won't be or right for doing it. But I won't literally telling NFL to be better regarding Sanders' ejection. Yeah, so here's the thing.
I didn't even know that happened.
Here's the thing. There is something about he punched him in the face, right?
Right.
So you cannot punch another player closed-fisted in the face,
right,
or in the helmet. There's whatever rule that is. I'd have to look up and find out what article it is, what section it's under, everything like that. But
yeah, I'm not through it yet. I'm still going through it.
Literally, he would have been better off, like, just tackling him outright and trying to, like, sweep the leg or something like that. Because, if you swing and you connect, not only are you going to get ejected from the game, but you have potential of breaking your hand. you have okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. But no, in all seriousness, though, it's you have opportunity to break your hand. You're going to get ejected from the game. You're going to get whatever the case may be. So it's better not to do that than to do it.
I mean, you come in as an undrafted guy that is you're already fighting for a roster spot, and now you're getting ejected from a very valuable playing time for yourself to try to prove you belong on the roster. You're trying to make the 53. Now you're tossed for swinging. That's not a good look either, man.
Yeah, probably. Soon, probably the max fine is probably coming. But yeah, I think it was a dumb thing for Sanders to do. It wasn't very good day for the Sanders boys today.
Yeah, what's up with Shedeur Sanders being pulled?
He just did not look good. He literally, I think he lost I'd have to go back and find out exactly what
46 yards on a sack.
Yeah, it was dumb. It was dumb.
Kill Williams, huh? Held on to the ball too long.
Yeah, he looked back to against the ones in Kansas City. He looked back to being a pedestrian.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have a Brandon Connington out there guarding your number one wide receiver. So
right.
I mean, you look good like that.
Yeah, probably not at all. No, not at all. It's the highest level of football. Come on. Right. We're not gonna be talking. We're not gonna be doing that. We're not gonna be saying anything like that on this show.
Off 10 carries.
Could I get a yard? Yes, absolutely. Would it probably be on my 10th attempt?
Right.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
Probably. And it would probably take all 10 attempts to gain that 1 yard.
Yeah, but, like a tenth of a yard every.
Exactly. The ball moves forward. Exactly. But with everything going on, I'm glad that they came out of this game healthy. I'm glad that they have the opportunity to have the 53-man roster cut down is on Tuesday. I'm glad the players that played tonight played as well as they did, and it didn't look like Chicago, so that they gave themselves and made McDermott's job a little bit harder, and Bean's job a little bit harder to put this roster together and make those tough decisions. But in the end, the Bills won 23-19 tonight. Shane Buechele was 25 of 30 for 278 yards with 1 touchdown. Tyrell Shavers had that beautiful touchdown. They did have the forced fumble from Zy Alexander, which was recovered by Charlo.
Nice play by Javon Sullivan, by the way. Holding his lane and then making a play.
Yeah, but with that being said, I definitely want to thank everybody for joining us tonight on the post-game show, on the Do Champions post-game show. This will be happening after every single Bills game throughout the entire season, home, away, anything. So we'll be here. Check out Monday night. Check out the Combat Zone with Alex Buff Commander, with Randall Slifer, with Alex Smiley. Wednesdays is Coast to Coast with Whittle, the almighty Whittle, and Beyond 716, Brian. And then on Thursdays, you got at the new time at 6 p.m., you have yourself and Tommy Giambra. And then Fridays, you have Chase and Data, who, congrats to him. He hit that milestone last night, the 5,200 live viewers, which was great. And then you got myself and Student Body Right on every Saturday night. Doing Third Manageable, and then right after Third Manageable, you have yourself doing the streaming, and that's going to get a little bit more frequent throughout the year. Yes. Every single week, you're probably you're going to do it maybe 2 or 3 times a week.
3 times a week, yes.
Perfect. So, and that's with tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so right now I'm basically doing a no money spent journey on Ultimate Team, trying to achieve the goal of putting together the best team I can possible and winning an online Super Bowl, which you got to win 5 games without losing 3, and then you got to win 3 games in the playoffs, obviously, then the Super Bowl. So That's definitely been a challenge in Madden 25. It looks a little bit better this year. Haven't played a game yet. We're still building this team up, but we're off to the right track.
Well, I'll definitely be hopping on the stream with you one of these times this year, a few times this year, to talk Bills football with you. Thank you again, Pat, for joining me. Short notice on the post game. We'll probably be switching off hosts throughout the post game, so you can hear different points of view on the Bills, and hopefully, here's to a healthy season, and here's to the start of a Super Bowl run. Go Bills, and good to be seen.
Go Bills, going to be seen.
For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliot Apollos, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Do Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Do Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Do Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.